Hey, what's up, beautiful people? I felt inspired to come on here today to talk to you guys about the first quarter of 2024 because there are some really major things happening, particularly for the United States, but that's going to be a reflection of all of us as we're moving through this new initiation, I like to call it. So up until the end of 2023, we've really been going through the destruction of an old identity. And even though new things could have been started, really at the end of the day, whatever is going on in your life, whatever is failing, whatever is succeeding, is all a part of what's preparing you for this next evolution. The things that are making us angry or frustrated or scared, right? Especially with the North Node and Chiron and Aries. Aries are all about the self. It's about the identity. So we're collectively going through the deepest wounds of ourselves, but also as a society and really as a world. And with that, this is why we see healing centers popping up everywhere and retreats and all these different ways of creating community and coming together and doing this healing work, and why our beliefs and our perspectives are really shifting at a deep level, saying that you have to feel the energy of something. It has to feel right in order for you to go on to the next level. The frustrations will continue to increase so bad that you can't function, and it'll start to cause disease in your body. In 2024, it was all the way up until the end of 2023 has been the training ground, if you will, for learning how to work with these shadow aspects of the consciousness, because once Pluto goes into Aquarius, it's going to be a free-for-all energetically, if you will, meaning that we have the bow pull all the way back, like with Sagittarius, right? 2024, that thing is going to slingshot, and it's going to carry us into whatever energy we're consciously choosing to bring it to. Okay, so we have to be very careful. If we are having a lot of things that are not working in our life, we have to just, what I like to do if I don't really know what to do is just stop doing the thing that I was doing. And if you have to start there, then start there, right? So if all you're doing is worrying all day long about money or about a loved one or about your physical body, like if you're in pain, or you have deep, negative internal thoughts, this is the time to go talk to somebody or go get a coach or get with a community, right? That are really compassionately leading people into that vulnerable place where you can heal yourself. You have to be able to go into that vulnerability, and we're cutting out the pride, we're cutting out greed, we're cutting out anything that is not serving our highest and best good is coming out up whether you like it or not. And we're coming to sort of what I feel is, this is deep, or the deepest that humanity has ever gone collectively, and it's a lot of energy to move through. It is not easy. When you start to live in your purpose, or when you start to learn to listen to that feeling or that voice inside yourself. Now, some people are natural at that. They're amazing. But even you guys that are naturals at it, that just always seem to be on top of it, moving, it's going to get way more intense for you as well. So this is where, we're going to see things getting crazy. Also, another big point I'd like to make is that 2024, we are coming into the United States Chiron return. And this is going to make the polarity so huge, so big, that it's going to look weird. Not to mention that Neptune is going to 29 degrees this year, and it's going to stay there for 5 months. Now, Neptune is illusion and delusion, right? It's also the media. It's also inspiration and dreams, and that whole feel of your life purpose, really. The life purpose fundamentally is Capricorn, but the dream of it, the vision of it, is Pisces, right? And as we see, where now that Pluto is coming out of Capricorn on the 20th, we're really in this new initiation process where it's on one hand, we're going to feel like lighter, opened up, right? But that can make it easy to go back into old ways. And when you stumble this year, if you stumble, I'm not going to put that out there. All right. I mean, typically, from what I've seen, myself included, everybody does, but it's on how we respond to it and how we work with it. This is real, true collective shadow work. And we see it in organizations, and we see it. So whatever position or part you play in the system as well plays a huge role in this, especially with our United States Chiron return. That's going to last about a year exact. Okay. Then in 2026, 2027, we come into our Uranus return, and we just had our Pluto return. Guys, this is no joke. This is, I think really, we're going all in. We're opening it all up. And while we do that, the forces that be are really going to try to stop that. And so make it messy this year, especially with Neptune at 29 degrees, with the media and the lies and all the things that they're saying that, are trying to get us to feel a certain way. That's going to get ridiculous. You're not going to know which way is up with that stuff. You're not going to know who's lying and who's telling the truth. Everybody out there has an agenda. And when the agenda is service to self, that is narcissism. These narcissistic tendencies that the world has, especially in the leadership, they're getting called out big time. So this is good, right? This is very good, but they can really do some nefarious shit if they want to. So, but I do believe that, of course, God always prevails, and love is going to start to pour in faster and faster, and it's going to be up to you, and it's going to be up to me to get out there and step up and start helping to set the example for how to change this world, right? So no more judging, because a judgment is a reflection of ourselves, and we're going to feel it deeper, like very viscerally, right? So if you're comparing yourself, right, whatever, with Chiron being the shadow and it being in Aries of the who am I area, right? We're looking at this, especially combining that with the United States Chiron return. We're getting a double dose of, and the solar eclipse, which is a total solar eclipse, it's actually coming over the United States. Okay, this is since the last lunar eclipse that happened in 2017. So think back to that. But it's at 19 degrees of Aries. The United States Chiron is at 20 degrees of Aries. So Chiron is literally having a collective rebirth in the United States. So it's going to look however you perceive it. And this is where we have to be careful about the people that we surround ourselves with. Like this will bring up relationship stuff, because as we come into the whole fuller part of who we are at this deeper levels, certain desires could be different. Certain passions could suddenly shift and change as we break open to this new version of ourselves, right? So make sure that this is to make sure that you're not giving your power away. All right. The lessons are going to come in harder and harder and deeper and more intense. But as that's happening, it's going to give us every opportunity to step into our next highest self. Every moment counts, and this is why living in the present moment is so important. All right. So if it's anxiety, you're thinking about the future too much. If it's in the past, then you have depression. But understanding these things in a different way is really helpful to me. Where I feel like when we start to get ourselves in the future and in the past, then we're essentially not honoring our life purpose, and that gets us attacking ourselves, right? So there could be like a deep self-sabotaging and victim type of consciousness that's coming up for everyone, and it's going to require deeper levels of vulnerability, deeper levels of compassion, deeper levels of awareness to self and because our feeling body, like our soul is taking over. So our feeling body is getting stronger and stronger, but that's where our true strength really lies. So we're all coming in 2024 to our new identity. It's almost like it hasn't been shown to us yet, but 2023, especially with Venus retrograde and Pluto squaring the nodes for like 6 months, it's like there is one identity, one thing that we were doing, and then whatever happened, it showed us all the ways that we didn't have a solid foundation, and those all broke down. So you can look at that as like preparation, like, hey, you need to figure these things out. Look at these things. And when we finally do, and that collective healing starts to come to an end, which will happen starting on January 20th. And that's why I'm making this the first 3 months. I feel like the end of January is really the beginning of the year, right? Energetically speaking, because during this 3.5 month, January, February, March, up to April 8th, okay? But in this period of time, we're going to see the sun conjunct Pluto from 29 to 0 degrees of Aquarius. They're carrying each other into it. Now, in the last few years, we've had major conjunctions at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So when the sun collectively, that's our soul, connects to that Pluto as it moves to another sign, that is cracking us open to that next level, going to that next place of 0 degrees of Aquarius. We got a little taste of that in 2023 in March and April when they came together for a couple months, and you probably saw something fundamental shift in your life. I know I did. And with that fundamental shift, that brought us into this new birthplace to show us where we need to correct ourselves, to do it better, to be at our, at our best and greatest version, because that's what's going to start to attract all the abundance, all the attention per se. Now, banks could be closing down, like something around middle of March, beginning of April timeframe. We could see some weird stuff going with the monetary system, okay? Especially, let's see. So January 20th is the day that we had cracked open. I feel like that's the first day of the year, right? Then on the 27th, Uranus goes direct at 19 degrees of Taurus. And that Uranus direct signifies all planets direct until April 1st. So that is a very big time with some very big transits coming in here that I'm going to talk about that are gonna literally hit us a death and rebirth over and over, because we have 4 planets conjuncting Pluto, and it's all at that 0 degree point. So this is waking up and activating literally like 4 different levels or layers of perspectives of our consciousness. And whatever house this is in your chart will tell you what it's fundamentally about. For me, this is in my 10th house. Woo! I got big things coming, right? But where you have it, it'll show you and tell you where this really deep, intense amount of transformation is going to come from. All right. So once Uranus goes direct, it's on. All right, because we're also working up to that Uranus Jupiter conjunction at 21 degrees. And that is significant as well, because let's see, Chiron return for the United States will be exact on the day of the Uranus Jupiter conjunction. Okay, that is just, it's huge. So, and then we come into eclipse season in the middle of March. So let's break this down. February 5th, Mercury is conjunct Pluto at 0 degree. Okay, so Mercury is our communication. What are we seeing? What are we talking to ourselves about? Are we really in our head? Are we living in our head, not in our heart? This is a death and a rebirth. Finally, it's almost like we've been trying to figure this out for so long, and then these dates are going to hit. It's going to be like, oh, okay, I get it now. But now that I get it, I have to follow it up with responsible action. If I get it, I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, I get it. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing I was doing after I saw my truth, right, then that means that you're lying to yourself because you don't want to feel something. So you got to let yourself feel whatever it is, or honor what it is that you're hearing. Don't block it out. This is a terrible time to escape. Also, because Neptune will be at 29 degrees, the escapism level is going to be off the charts. So that could be very, very dangerous. Like, see a lot of, ODs on drugs and this time. So please be very careful. We're going to be so open and so vulnerable. We have to learn to love and work with the vulnerability. And that requires living a new way, right? But of course, I can say, I know a lot of people that have started creating space for that, but it's no one thing or one person, one place is going to be right for everybody. It's all about what makes you feel safe, all right, within yourself in order to do the work. Now, safety is not the same as escapism, although some people may confuse the two, right? So if you're just safe sitting there, watching Netflix all day and, crying, thinking about your stuff, then that's just escaping. All right. But if you're meditating, and then doing a cold plunge after you meditate, or going to the gym to work out because you want to take positive action, taking care of yourself, or get rid of some inflammation that you have going on naturally. So I can tell you what, too, this next year, something probably going to come out about some kind of new sickness, and the hospital's going to shut down. They're going to try to make it look like it's even worse than the last one, but it's all a prop. It's all a show. But that also means that you need to know healers. You need to come around together to, share the information and teach what we all know. It's going to be the Western medical system, I think, is going to either go through a complete reform or collapse here, probably by 2025. But it's going to dramatically accelerate. And you're going to see a lot of people that are in that world. They're going to start just popping up and open up their own healing centers or their own alternative, but it's really the way that it was before, all this modern crap came in. So nobody wants to take medication anymore, but if they have an addictive nature and a personality, they will definitely want to take more, right? And they'll want to, you're just going to become a self-destructive, comet that's just burning in the atmosphere. And that's going to get really nasty. When we see a lot of the narcissism at the leadership level, they're going to be falling like flies, and they're not going to like it, and they're going to try to strike back, that kind of shit, right? But with Pluto going through this, it's erupting all the energetic centers that need to go, that cannot stay in this higher vibration. So everyone has an opportunity, and this is free will. This is what they talk about heaven on earth, right? We have to clear out, and we're clearing out like lifetimes, probably hundreds or thousands of lifetimes. There's so much stuff that we're clearing out right now to go to this higher vibration, and it's gonna be uncomfortable. This next couple of years is going to be very uncomfortable, but we're going to learn how to love the discomfort. And that you're doing it right if you feel abundant in your life. That's really what it's going to come down to. Okay. So on February 9th, we have a new moon at 20 degrees of Aquarius. And that new moon is 7 degrees away from the United States moon. So I think it's within orb, but there's going to be a couple of things hitting the United States moon on top of the Chiron stuff. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of mysterious, weird stuff coming out about weird stuff. Just a lot of weirdness. I have a moon in Aquarius, so I'm all about that weird life, and I get it. But some people don't, and some people it scrambles their brain, and they don't know what to think about it. All right, 13th we have Mars conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees of Aqua. All right, then on the 16th we have Venus conjunct Pluto with Mars. Now Mars is 2 degrees ahead, but we're going to be having this Venus Mars conjunct exactly on the 20th of February. But that's going to be like that for almost a whole 3 months. And when Venus is conjunct Mars, especially moving over Pluto, and then Venus is going to go around again and conjunct Pluto again before the end of the year. Don't forget that. But this is cracking open a whole new inner child, a whole new version of us. And we have to say goodbye to our old life. There is, like, whatever is in your life now is there for a reason. So if you try to run back to old things in your life or old ways of being, you're just gonna spiral out of control. All right, and we don't want to see that, so don't do that. So just do the inner work and talk. Don't isolate yourself. Talk to somebody. Okay. This is all very good stuff, but the birthing process is not easy or fun at all. I mean, if I hadn't been doing this work since 2010, you know, I feel like I'd be way behind the power curve. I'm super grateful that, you know, I was able to do this stuff that was really weird, you know, 2010, 2011, 2012. Nobody talked about any of this stuff, right? So this is very promising for people that want to heal, they want to get help, they want to acknowledge whatever parts of themselves that they aren't acknowledging. So do the work, please. It'll be so worth it. Because you know we're going from a way of being that's like hustle and grind, and you gotta work, you know, just push and push and push and push. But this new birth, this new way that we're doing things, it's be present, receive, be present, receive, be present, receive. But in order to be present, our heart has to be fully open, right? So that's how you know our hearts are all cracking wide open. And as they do, we're feeling more stuff. So we're getting more and more sensitive in our physical body. Like I've felt so much weird stuff, so much in my, I can like feel stuff like emotionally leaving like my organs. And I can feel other people's stuff sometimes in my own body now. And, you know, that's not fun, but I'm also, as I get more sensitive, that's what makes me have to do the work. You know, it can be a little frustrating sometimes, but, you know, ultimately, because it's experiential in nature and our soul signed up to do this, that ultimately you're going to make it through it. Even if you feel like you're not sometimes, you will be. Okay. So, on the, let's see, 16th, the sun is, so at the same time the Venus Pluto Mars conjunction happens, the sun is directly on top of the USA's moon. So that double conjunction right there is just, it's shining a light on this new world, new version of life. And it's saying, pick your lane, pick your direction, because you either gonna let go of the other stuff and start living lighter and better and more abundant, or you're gonna try to go and continue with these bad habits, and it's gonna just return karmic lessons. And you have to go through these extra cycles of learning the lesson, and you don't want to do that because it's not necessary. In fact, I can't say, it almost feels like, you know, you'll start feeling like you literally can't do it or you're gonna die, right? So you can do it. You are able to do it. We just have to learn how to get the shadow aspects of our ego out of the way. That is it, right? And learn that it's okay to do what we love. Some people don't even really think that. Like, that's why I could never work a 9 to 5 again, because I have a certain unique flair about what it is that I do. And if I'm not able to go into that flow state, then I feel like I'm not living. I need to be in that flow state constantly, but it also takes a lot of energy. So I'm learning how to get deeper with staying into that flow state, and not needing to do, because, you know, alpha type personalities, you know, naturally want to like make it happen. You know, I'm an Aries rising, like I'm motivated. I want to, you know, I kind of like that hustle a little bit, but I just take care of the hustle in the gym. You know what I mean? And I take care of my body, and I focus on staying as healthy as possible. And as long as I do that, then I know that I'm loving me, I'm taking care of me. And you know, it also, keeping things organized and structured like that in my mind helps me stay consistent in the world. Because if I fall off, like, you know, I really fall off. And I'm just saying that this is gonna bring up that sensitivity and that likelihood that we could fall off. But if you do, be kind to yourself and just get right back up and keep making it happen. All right. So on the 27th of February, Mercury is conjunct the sun. is and Saturn is at, oh, I'm sorry, Mercury is conjunct the Sun and Saturn in 90 degrees Pisces. I can't read my own here, right? So Mercury, Sun, Saturn. This is getting real with ourselves. This is seeing our deepest truth. It's going to be screaming at us in the face. They're saying, look, you're going like this is going to like a collective buds. It's an initiation, and these planets, they're different parts of our consciousness, right? And we have all these personal planets moving over a transpersonal planet, which is just it's going to be waking up some weird stuff. But the more that we embrace it and the more that we allow it to be okay, the better we're going to do. And you're just going to trust that and not let fear. This is like fear is going to be trying to attack us in all kinds of devious ways. Don't fall for it. And Saturn is that reality check, right? And at 9 degrees Pisces, that's also looking at where are we escaping? Like being honest with ourselves about boundaries. Are you really happy, or are you just faking it? Or, these kind of questions are going to have answers. But like, say you have an attachment to something, right? If you're just like saying something because you don't want to face the fact that you're attached to something that you just have to let go, you have to allow that to be okay, right? And for whatever situation you're in, it's because going down that road is going to teach you a lesson that's going to bring you back up. And when you learn a lesson experientially like that, it's permanent. Okay, you won't make that mistake again, right? So trust the flow of life. If life is just not going in a certain direction, don't keep trying to go there. And if it looks different than you, or you're getting worried or afraid, last few months for me too, like I felt a little lost. I felt like, like my once purpose that I thought was for me, turned out that it wasn't. It was just another learned lesson. And that messed me up for a little bit, man. I was like, well, what's my identity? Who am I? Like, what am I supposed to be now or do now? And for that period, it's just trusting that the universe is bringing it my way. Because I know every time I go to try to chase it, I just, get burned out and like screw myself up. I'm not going to go chase that. Right? We got to learn to receive it because it's coming in divine timing. And right now, you just got to trust, even if you're uncomfortable, even if you're in a position that you don't like, that everything's going to be okay. And when the right action is meant to be taken, you'll know. And when you take it, you just stick with your discipline, your focus. That's what all this stuff is teaching us this next 3.5 months. All right, March 8th. Mercury is conjunct Neptune at 27 Pisces. Okay, so Mercury is not happy in Pisces. So this could be illusions and delusions. So depending on how you're dealing with your trauma, like say if you have attachments and you need to let go of these attachments, the illusions of that attachment are going to get next level. All right, it's going to be so like ridiculously obvious. Like you could even start feel like am I going crazy? Like what the hell's going on? What maybe you thought was real isn't real. So again, this is why community is important. Taking care of your physiological body and your mental health through active contribution to yourself. Okay, make sure that you have some good people around you that'll hold you accountable. Or if you don't have that, hire someone to hold you accountable. Someone that you resonate with, someone that you trust. This is going to be the time to do it, because as we come into this solar eclipse, that's kickstarting the shit show. It's gonna still look like a shit show from the beginning of the year, but it's gonna go way up. That's probably around the time that we're gonna have some crash. I don't know what system will crash. There's of course a lot of financial stuff out there, so it could be finally the collapse of the dollar. It could be the collapse of the housing market. It could be multiple markets at the same time, and that's when people are going to freak out, and that's when suddenly these reports about getting sick and then playing the whole bullshit over and over and over again. As long as you're taking care of you and you have good support systems around you and you're utilizing them through your vulnerability, you're going to be good. But that is a direction that we that are creating this new world are going. Okay, because it's going to be chaos for a little while, but when we're okay in our internal chaos, when we've learned how to utilize that, alchemize that, and utilize it for positive action, that is when we are the new leaders of the world, because we know how to navigate the chaos while others don't. And the deepest narcissists and people that are very attached to things, they're going to be the ones that are losing it like crazy, like crazy. And eventually it'll humble them, like everybody is, going to get humbled, in some way, shape, or form. So might as well just go into it humble, right? Because like in the Bible it says, the meek shall inherit the earth. Well, next year it's showing who the real meek are and who aren't. And we're going to be the ones that are teaching people how to live in this new way. Because you're not going to be able to not be present eventually, right? Probably take a couple more years, maybe 20, 30. But that we're going to have to learn how to be completely present all the time, feeling all their stuff. And that requires us to clear out all the trauma in our physical body, in our emotional body, spiritual body, you name it. Okay. And everyone has their own path to getting there. But just know, Mercury is going to go retrograde at 27 degrees of Aries on April 11th. I'm sorry, April 1st. So this is when the all direct sign stops. All right. So it's sort of closing that gap literally on April 1st. And then the 8th, the solar eclipse, it's go time. All right. So, and we also have a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra on March 21st. So this ending period of this particular eclipse that we're in right now will end coming into March 25th. All right, so we're shifting into a new world at that point, and all the things that are happening now are happening to prepare us for that next place. And if we've been doing the inner work, we're going to be great, but also challenged with a new level of opportunity that's going to probably bring up a whole new kind of fears, right? So this next year, with the collective Chiron return, it's all about really learning to dance with your fear and let that fear use it as a tool as opposed to it using you. And, the greatest fear is the fear of death. And everyone, when you face these deep kind of fears, they do weird things to your, autonomic systems in your body. Like you don't really understand, know what's going on. And you have to stop trying to understand it. That's a big thing. And allow it to be okay, which comes through faith. It's my time, it's my time. I'm good. I know that I'm taking care of myself. I know that I'm not doing anything to hurt myself, right? I know that I'm being honest with myself. I have good people around me. These are all the checkpoints that you need to look at. We all do, so that we can be in that next place that we all know we're kind of like waiting. Something's got to end. Something is coming to its closure. And, we all know that we're going to a better place. And if you don't know that, that's when you really need to talk to someone. Okay. You don't know where it's going to come from. You don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. You just know that there's better days coming. I feel that deep in my heart. Do you? You got to be honest with yourself. If you do, awesome. Share that energy with others. If you don't, then, that's where you're going to start to get some feedback, or, go do some different kinds of work to really understand yourself. However that feels right for you. It's going to feel right for everyone in a whole different way. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please share, like, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. If you like a reading from me to talk about 2024 and how that's going to work for you, then just click in the link in my bio. All right. I hope you have a wonderful first quarter in 2024. You got this.